Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AITA. In today's episode, AITA for telling my husband that his sister needs to be cleaned for at least a year before she is allowed in our house. AITA for calling my friend a coked out loser. Whipped it to insist my neighbor keep a yard schedule. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. AITA for telling my husband that his sister needs to be cleaned for at least a year before she is allowed in our house. My husband has a sister that has been in and out treatments for her addictions for years. The family enabled her, and so does my husband. She stayed over once and the next morning stuff was missing. I have met her when she has been clean before, for a few months, and let her met the kids. She was in their lives for a few months and then relapsed. I had to explain to my kids why their aunt was going to be around. The longest she has been clean is 7 months. To be honest, I am tired of letting her back in and then she fucks up. She has been clean for 2 months now and my husband wants her to stay at the house and met the boys again. I told my husband that I won't let her back in this house until she is clean for a year or come back into the kids' lives until that. This started an argument. He left to cool off and his family has called me a jerk. NTA. You are setting boundaries to make sure your family does not fall down the slippery road of codependency. It's real tough love, but it's necessary. Especially with your kids in the mix, you need to protect their mental well-being at all costs. Trust me, childhood codependency can have very lasting effects that are difficult to deal with at an older age. I completely agree with this. If Opie's husband does not see why a boundary has to be made, he has to know the risks and consequences of that tolerance. NTA. Opie's husband needs Al-Anon. NTA. You need to be safe and comfortable in your own home and your children need to be your priority. The family enabled her and so does my husband. He left to cool off and his family has called me a jerk. What do they think is going to change? Some people believe in the saying, if you fall down 7 times, stand up 8, a little too hard. As the daughter of 2 addicts, if you love the person, trying to help them and get them to save themselves can become an addiction in its own way, and ripping yourself out of that addiction contradicts nearly everything we've been taught about compassion and love, because we have to give up on someone we love, because at this point we have to take care of ourselves, which feels selfish. NTA. I would absolutely insist on it. Your husband needs to rethink his priorities. His wife and children need to come first, not his sister. Do not back down on this. He also needs to understand he's hurting his sister by not making her get clean. At one point you have to actively not support the addict to make them independently get sober. Using again isn't a big deal, I'll clean up and stay with family, as opposed to, if I relapse, I'll be out on the street. Yes, this is the hill to die on. Let other family members take care of her. I am sorry you are getting a hard time on this. You are so NTA. NTA. Not to diminish the difficulties of addiction, but having a known addict and thief in your house and around your kids is dangerous. It's perfectly acceptable to need to see a bit more progress in her recovery before you bring her into your home. As someone in recovery, yeah, that's completely fair. I've seen kids get into their parents' drugs, I've seen parents get messed up with their kids in the car. It's an insane world to be a part of, and I'm so glad I got out. NTA. Your husband is using your kids, and therefore the risk that they'll get hurt or harmed by aunt's behaviors is both a reward and as a stake to be lost. That there is stake to be lost even shows that he knows there's a risk of harm to the kids, and he's so far gone he doesn't even register it as harm anymore. I'd maybe point those things out to him, so far as his enabling and codependence, that he's tempting his kids into a riptide because he doesn't realize he's been drowning so long he's living underwater. NTA. Your children deserve someone who is consistent in their lives. An addict cannot be that. A recovering addict can. But if she's shown relapse, then absolutely make that boundary of a year and stick to it. Your children don't deserve to be hurt because his family wants to cheer up his sister. Your children are not there to be an emotional support. She needs to clean up her act or she doesn't need to see them. NTA, but some thoughts. Do you ever take the kids with you to meet a friend for lunch, but the friend doesn't have kids? If so, consider something like this for his sister. Not at your home. Choose a neutral location like a casual restaurant. Don't play it up to the kids, and don't put a lot into the kids interacting during the meal. Let them do their typical kid thing and eat, or choose a place with a playground or activities if the kids are of that age, and let the adults just sit and talk. This gives your husband the sense of connection to his sister, gives the sister the feeling that you want to rebuild trust but can't do it all at once, and adds some time for the sister to relearn the family dynamic. You can call it off and walk away if the time goes awry, or if it's going really well you can easily extend the time by just sitting at the restaurant longer or moving to a second location like a park or desert shop. Addiction is hard on everyone. It doesn't negate the love you have for them, but sure makes it harder to see and feel every time you wanted to believe they turned it around and find out they crashed again. Try to understand this is also hard on your husband, and giving in to him a little, with boundaries, isn't the same as giving in to her. Info: how did you deliver this? Because while the message itself isn't unreasonable, there's a big difference between compassionately stating a boundary for the safety of the family while still acknowledging Sale's hard work and desire to let her into your lives when she's more stable versus implying your husband's no-good sister isn't allowed anywhere near you until she proves herself worthy. NTA. It sounds like she's had more than one chance and she's relapsed. At this point you need to put your family's mental health and well-being first. AITA for calling my friend a coked-out loser? I'll call my friend Kate. We're 32F. We've been friends since high school, though we're not as close anymore, different interests, different places in life. Kate has never left her parents' house. She works a lot, and parties even more. She's often partying with people a decade younger. She does cocaine sometimes, and it makes her quite verbally aggressive. All of our friends are married, having kids, and she's made comments when we've gotten married, such as saying she's really not sure a couple that had been together 7 years was ready to get married. She hasn't ever truly been in a serious relationship. A lot of us have, frankly, chalked it up to jealousy. I'm pregnant now, finally. My husband and I struggled with infertility for over 2 years. I am in my second trimester. I got together with Kate and a few other friends the other day. I had a feeling she was on coke, just from her eyes. I don't know if these friends know she uses. This conversation ensued. She asked me out of the blue, will I be a good mom? I said sure. She started saying she knows she'll be better than me. That she's more emotionally stable and I'm not. That she's raised kids before, she worked as a nanny for a couple years, and just not everyone is meant to have kids. She said if I am not ready for this, I shouldn't do it. She said I have options. I was in shock and beyond hurt. Kate is well aware that we've gone through fertility challenges and treatment. She knows I'm thrilled to be pregnant. This conversation occurred completely out of the blue. We weren't talking about my pregnancy at all. I snapped and said I know I'll be better than a coked-out loser who hasn't left her parents' house. And I left. One of my friends texted me that Kate was very hurt and I should apologize. I may have gone too far, but I'm still beyond hurt by what Kate said to me. My husband, who doesn't enjoy Kate at all, told me I don't need to apologize. He wants me to cut her off completely. AITA? ETA. I do not believe Kate is addicted to cocaine. You guys know that kid in high school who would brag he had 472,882 shots of tequila followed by even more shots of vodka the night before, and you knew there was no way? That's kind of Kate. You have to take what she says with a grain of salt. NTA. Text that friend back. I am also hurt that Kate would tell me she would make a better mother than me, infer I wasn't the type of person to be a good mother, and that I am not emotionally stable, and these are things she said knowing I struggled to get pregnant and decided to bring up out of nowhere. My response was completely justified, and now I'm a little hurt, to be honest, that your text isn't asking if I am okay, not acknowledging how poorly Kate behaved, and centering Kate's feelings while ignoring my own. Kate needs to be cut out. Coke, alcohol, living with the parents, partying, who cares? I have no judgment for Kate on her life, her plans, or her lifestyle. But you do not need people in your life who pick at you and put you down, and also create tornadoes of drama wherever they go, and that is exactly what Kate did here. She was mean for no reason, you matched her energy, now you have a friend texting you, you are writing on Reddit about it, you probably are thinking about it a lot, etc. And you don't need that kind of energy in your life. NTA. Your husband is a smart guy. You should marry him. My response would be, I'll apologize for calling her a coked out loser when she apologizes for suggesting that I'll be such a shit mom I should abort my very much loved and wanted baby. Then let silence reign. Put your phone on mute for 24 hours and go do something nice with your awesome hubby. I didn't take it as telling to abort. I took it as telling Opie to give her the child, and wondered if this might be one of those crazy news stories in the making about crazy friends who take their pregnant friend's baby before or after birth. That is exactly what I would say. NTA for sure. NTA. Do you care she was very hurt? Wasn't what she said very hurtful? Why are your friends asking that you apologize for your comment, but not asking Cokie McGee to apologize too? NTA. Honestly, I would have called her worse. Ignoring everything she might be, jealous, etc., her comments about you as a mother and taking care of the baby were not acceptable and incredibly hurtful. Has she reached out to apologize? Are your friends who say she is hurt asking her to apologize to you? It may be time to consider what you get from this friendship these days, and if it's only situations like this, then it's okay to let the friendship end. Friends for life rarely happen, and most friendships end without a bang. And that's okay. Focus on your baby and husband in life and just walk away from this all. Apologize if it will make you feel better, forgive her and yourself, and walk away from friends like that. NTA. It sounds like you outgrew this friendship years ago. What she said was outright hurtful and malicious. You should not invite her back to your life. Doing cocaine at a laid-back hangout with your pregnant friend means you are addicted to cocaine. If this was a big party or even out at a club where the purpose was to get smashed, then it would be plausible to be a social cocaine user without an addiction, but it doesn't seem like your hangout was giving cocaine party vibes. NTA, I would also cut ties with her. It's hard to be friends with someone when they just won't keep their opinions to themselves. I would dump her as a friend. Not from the drug use or her life choices, or for being behind you in terms of maturity. NTA. Your friend out of the blue says you'll be a bad mom and you should abort, and then gets upset when you call her what she is? Nah. I second hubby's recommendation of cutting her out completely. She's obviously one of those friends that you're only seeing because you've been friends for too long and there wasn't a good enough reason to stop being friends. Now you have a good enough reason. Whipped it to insist my neighbor keep a yard schedule? For background, I have a severely reactive rescue dog. She's terrified of other dogs and freaks out majorly when she sees them or hears them. My partner and I have been working with our vet and a behavioral trainer and we've made some progress, but my dog is still not truly comfortable anywhere but her own yard. A new lady just moved in next door, and she has 2 big dogs. They seem like nice dogs, they are quiet and she works with them a lot. The problem is that she works from home full time, and her dogs are always outside. She doesn't leave them there for hours or anything, but I never know when she's going to let them out or for how long. She also spends a lot of time out there with them after work and on weekends. I can hear her training and playing fetch, or she'll have them out with her while she's doing yard work. To be fair to her, she trains them and she doesn't let them run up on the fence, and if they do bark, she makes them go inside. They're still out on the other side of the fence though, and my dog is now scared and reacting in her own backyard. When my dog starts carrying on, she is the one who has to go inside. She already can't enjoy walks, and now she can't even enjoy being outside. I asked my neighbor if she'd consider a schedule for the dogs so that my dog can enjoy her yard too without the neighbor's dogs freaking her out on the other side of the fence. She was polite about it but said no, she bought the house with the yard for her dogs, and they use it. She said she'd be glad to tell me when she's leaving with them for a period of hours, but otherwise she's not going to change what she's doing day to day. So nothing changed, and her dogs get plenty of outdoor time and mine gets none except for the stray times when she takes one of her dogs to a training class or takes both of them for a hike. I'm really upset and want to insist that we adopt a schedule so that my dog can have some outside time too. Would they if I insisted she work with me to adopt a schedule that's fair to all the dogs? Edit. So to clarify, my dog does not get the same opportunity as her dogs, not even close. Her dogs have free access 5 days a week, weeknights, and weekends. My dog only gets outside time now when she says she is leaving for a class or a hike. If I let my dog out to sun herself at 10:30 on a Tuesday, sure enough, it won't be 5 minutes before she's letting her dogs out, and then my dog freaks out and has to come in. She is not getting anywhere close to what they are getting. Edit again. The fence is a privacy fence. My dog freaks out when she can hear and smell the other dogs as well as see them. She can't see these dogs, but she knows they're there. YWBTA. You asked. Accept her response. You don't get to police what people do on their property. The neighbor's dogs aren't the problem. There is a fence and she doesn't let them run up on it. She doesn't let them bark outside, and she doesn't keep them in the yard all the time. She is kind enough to let OP know when she takes the dogs out of the house. Their simple existence on the other side of the fence seems to bother OP's dog. All sympathy for the rescue dog, but it needs to learn to accept that other dogs exist. OP took the responsibility to help this dog, and socializing in safe conditions is part of that. YTA. You decided to adopt a reactive rescue dog, knowing very well you'll have a ton of work to do with her. You made that decision. Not your neighbor. It's your job to make this dog comfortable, and your neighbor shouldn't have to suffer for your decisions. I honestly can't believe anyone would expect someone else to schedule their lives around their needs like this. We have disabled twins, they are distressed by kids screaming, or loud noises like lawnmowers. I wouldn't even think of asking neighbors to schedule their child's play or lawn mowing around us. If there's something that will upset them, I'll take them inside. Break it down for her. Yeah. Imagine being the lady next door and buying/renting a house with the perfect backyard for your two dogs. Only to find out she lives next to Opie and needs to restrict her own backyard usage. Opie, the problem here is your dog. The onus for figuring out a solution is squarely on you. The lady next door doesn't necessarily have to work with you. She is entitled to use her own yard as she sees fit. Your dog is the issue. YWBTA. I say the problem is OP. People ill-equipped to handle temperamental dogs shouldn't adopt temperamental dogs. Additionally, the fact that OP thinks they should insist that the neighbor get onto their terms speaks volumes about what an they are. You would like the world around you to adapt to your dog. The world has agreed to give you notice, not good enough. You insist it be done according to your demands. YTA. Your dog can have all the outside time at once. There's a fence. If you need a fence with a sound barrier, have one installed. YTA. Your neighbor has every right to have her dogs in the yard whenever she feels like it. You will need to train your dog better or move somewhere with no neighbors. What you are asking is unreasonable and not her issue. How could you force her to follow a strict outdoor schedule when she's already refused? This is totally unrealistic. Perhaps you need to look for a home in a more remote location where you have no neighbors. This was my take. Like, force her how? This lady is nothing to do with Opie, not even sure Opie is an asshole, just a bit of an oddity that thinks the world somehow owes them and their dog something. The neighbor could have responded so much worse to their request. She sounds more reasonable than most. Right? Also, OP can create her own schedule. Try in the middle of the night when no one is up. Let your pup play at odd hours, or work actively to reduce its reactivity. YTA. Who do you think you are to demand such a thing from your neighbor? Move somewhere with a more private yard or build a fence. Your dog is your problem, nobody else's. Right? My thoughts exactly. How bold and entitled this person is because they can't handle their dog. Despite doing the training and what they can for it, it blows my mind. A reactive dog should be put down if it is as dire as you make it out to be. I'd be worried for other people and dogs around your animal. Your neighbor is nicer than I would have. I would have scoffed and laughed it off as a ridiculous request. Seriously, OP is lucky the neighbor was chill. This is one of the most entitled posts I've seen on here. I wouldn't have even answered the door, TBH. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.